Hey folks, Dennis Gillen here. Hope all is well, and I do mean that. I say that a lot, but I really do hope all is well. And today I'm coming to you on behalf of the Half a Sorrow Foundation. And somebody recently asked me, Dennis, where did you get the name for your foundation? Where did you get the name, the Half a Sorrow Foundation? So I'm about to tell you all how that happened. First of all, I always wanted a foundation, and here's why. I got a call one time from a kid down in Texas. And I've shared this story before, and we couldn't make it work. We just couldn't make it work. Airlines, flights, hotel, they had no budget. I had no budget. And at the end of the day, I had to hang up the phone, and I never said no before to a talk. I never said no about sharing my story to somebody. But on that particular day, because of the distance between us, I had to say no. And it broke my heart. So I said, one day I'm going to have a foundation, the Half a Sorrow Foundation, one day. And if somebody like that calls up again and they say, Mr. Gillen, we'd like you to come share your story and talk about suicide prevention, I would just have two questions for that person. If they could not afford to bring me in, and I'm not getting rich doing this, but I can't go broke doing it, but if they cannot afford me, I have two questions now. What time and what do I wear? Because the foundation and you folks will make that possible. So I always wanted to do it. So when I started thinking about naming the foundation, I crowdsourced it. What that means, I went out to the internet and all you folks participated. A lot of you did. I threw it out there on Facebook, I think Twitter, and I said, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What would you name it? And a lot of people came back with really cool names. A lot of people used my brother's names. For review, I lost not one but two brothers to suicide. And a lot of people were saying, hey, the Matt Mark Foundation, Mark Matt, Eminem, they were doing, derivatives of my two brothers' name, kind of combining them and coming up with a foundation name. And then as I read the comments down below, an old dear friend from West Virginia University, here we are, go Mountaineers, David Molgard, in one of the comments, he just said, hey, don't name it after your brothers. And I thought that was odd at first. And then I started thinking about it. It's like, yeah, don't name it after them. Name it after a purpose. And when I was doing the talks, a lot of people responded when I said the Swedish proverb, a shared joy is a double joy, a shared sorrow is half a sorrow. And I heard that on the radio one day, and I almost like pulled over. I'm like, what the heck was that? And it's attributed, to a Swedish proverb. It probably has biblical roots. That's where it always comes from. But I was actually doing that for the first time in my life. I was sharing my sorrow. And when I was speaking in front of a crowd, I would put that slide up there where it said a shared joy is a double joy, a shared sorrow is half a sorrow. And I would see people writing it down like it was clicking with them. So I'm like, hey, maybe I'm onto something here. And for the first time in my life, I'm sharing my sorrow. So let's do that. And things get real when you share your sorrow. So here it is in bold print. A shared joy is a double joy. A shared sorrow is half a sorrow. A lot of us live up here. Shared joy. Guilty. I'm not doing a lot of us. Me. I was doing this, sharing all my joy. Just go on my Facebook, Instagram. Hey, check out my cheeseburger. Blah, blah, blah. A lot of us do that, and that's cool. I love seeing it. I love sharing joy. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of us weren't doing this, sharing our sorrow. And that may be why the suicide rates are so high in America, and that may be why it's so high with males, because we really don't do this stuff. Males are 3 to 4 times more likely to die by suicide than women. The rates are that high, higher than the women. So maybe a pride issue. But there it is. A shared joy is a double joy. A shared sorrow is half a sorrow. And I mentioned it may have biblical roots. I did some Googling around there, and the only thing I could find was in Romans 12:15. Paul writes, rejoice with those who rejoice, mourn with those who mourn. Blessed are those who mourn, right? On the Beatitudes. In Matthew. So a lot of our sayings, by the way, go back to biblical roots. This is the closest thing I could find to it. Rejoice with those who rejoice. And I love seeing your stuff, by the way, on Facebook and Instagram and all the social media. I love seeing that. But I also love when people post real stuff. I think this is going down. I'm not doing so hot. That's when it gets real. And when I started talking about my brothers, it got real quick with me. So I started sharing, my joy and my sorrow. So that's where it came from. Then when I decided on Half a Sorrow Foundation, I said, that's stuck. That made sense. It's actually a best practice not to name it after someone. I learned afterwards. Whew. Thank God. My board and I figured that out. Then I went to my board and I said, we need a logo. We need a logo. And this is kind of funny because I have a brother-in-law in the design business. And when I went to my board, they were going to outsource it. You can go on all these websites now, and heck, somebody will do it, in India for 29 cents per logo, some crazy low number. I said, no, I got a brother-in-law. He can do it. And my board was like, let's see what he's got. And I was pretty adamant about it. And Mark Ali went to the school of Parsons Design. I mean, he's legit. Like, this is what he does. And he came up with this, and I love it. One, the colors are what is widely known as the colors of suicide prevention, the teal and the purple. And then I love the way, the horizon goes and cuts the sorrow in half. I love it. So I come back to my board, and Mark did a bunch of these for me, and they're all good. I mean, we had trouble, but it was just kind of funny because I sent them out to the board. I said, hey, this is what my brother-in-law came up with. And like, oh yeah, the brother-in-law who's an artist, family member. And I sent it out there, and all the board was like, holy crap, he's legit. I said, yeah, every one was good. There was like 9 of them. Like, that one's good, that one's good. So we voted on it, and we came up with this. So now now you know the rest of the story. I'm Paul Harvey. Good day. Now you know how we came up with the name, Half a Sorrow Foundation, based on that Swedish proverb, and now you know the origins of our logo. You know what we do? We try to improve mental health for individuals and organizations by promoting real conversations. If you want to help, do a brother a favor. Just go to this website, get your phone out, use your QR code reader if you have one. Stop there and just hit that button, and it'll take you right to our page where you can donate to the cause. I love you all more than you know, and I appreciate you listening this far.